Hi again, everyone. Last time you may remember we talked about the benefits of the intermittent fasting. And as we had talked about, some of those include the reduction of the glucose levels, as well as decreasing our blood pressure, decreasing inflammation, that's huge, as well as lowering our risk of cancer. And some of the other things it does is it leads to the higher secretion of the HGH, that's that human growth hormone, that's that anti-aging hormone. It also improves mental clarity, it eliminates that brain fog, it also increases skin elasticity, and of course leads to weight loss. So what is intermittent fasting? Well, basically intermittent fasting is going for a period of time without eating. And so you may ask, what difference does it make if we have 2,000 calories in the course of 20 hours or if we have 2,000 calories in the course of 1 hour? And what difference does it make if we have 2,000 calories in, pasta and potatoes or 2,000 calories in broccoli and olive oil? Well, what it is that when you go for that period of fasting, that allows the insulin levels a period of time to drop and drop pretty low. And so you may ask, well, what difference does it really make, if the insulin levels stay, high or moderate for, a longer period of time, or if you give it, a longer period of time for your insulin levels to drop? Well, the reason for this is that one of the insulin's jobs, in addition to other things, is to take any of those carbohydrates and the glucose and everything, anything that has been, converted into those sugars and to the glucose, is to take those, anything in excess, and to put that into fat storage. What your body is trying to do is it's trying to maintain your blood glucose between 80 and 100. So anything in excess of that is that your insulin is going to take that and immediately convert that and store that as fat, and primarily as belly fat. So let me just show you so basically what ends up happening is that during the fasting, it also allows you to access those fat stores and also triggers fat burning during that time. So let me just show you a chart here, that explains a little bit about intermittent fasting. So how we normally eat, you can see, is that we normally have our breakfast and our lunch and our dinner. And during those times, and especially if you're eating like high carbohydrate meals, is that during those times you have, greatly increased insulin during those times. And that, again, especially with the higher carbohydrate, is those times of leading to the fat storage. And this is times when you're fasting. And this would be times when it is lower glucose fat storage, or especially times that easier access to that fat storage. When your body needs to go and access in order to get energy, it will access the fat storage. And so, unfortunately, in our culture, and especially today, this is what our eating ends up looking like a lot of times, is that we've got our breakfast, and then a snack, and then our lunch, and then a snack, and then dinner, and of course our midnight snacks. Very few windows here for our, lots of windows here for the insulin to be using any of those foods and those sugars and the glucose and storing it into fat. Very short number of windows for our body to be basically going to access our fat storage. So what intermittent fasting is, and again, it can be any period of time. It can be 24 hours of fasting. What I'm going to be doing, because I know if I tried to do like 24 hours of fasting, chances are that may lead me to binging. So this is called like a 16-8 fast. And so as you can see here by the chart, is that I'm going to be eating in an 8-hour window, but just the two meals. It would be lunch and dinner. Again, shorter periods of time of when the insulin is spiking, and longer periods of time for the insulin to be really low, and also for our body to be looking to to access the fat storage for energy. Okay, and one of the things too is that with the intermittent fasting, you want to combine that with what's considered like whole foods eating. And you're asking, well, why? What difference does it really make? During that 8-hour window, those two meals, what if I were just to do, McDonald's for lunch and Arby's for dinner, and do, cheeseburger and French fries and a soda, milkshake, something like that, during my intermittent fasting window, because I'd still have that wider window. Well, again, going back to that increase in your insulin, you're really going to be spiking that really high by adding, again, those carbs and those sugars. And again, your body, even during those times, taking those carbs and those sugars and any kind of processed food, immediately turning that into fat storage, even though you're only eating in a shorter period of time. So it's better to go to the whole foods that are low glycemic and that do not turn into that fat storage. So you may be asking, well, what kinds of foods will you be eating during this intermittent fasting and during those meals? So what I'm going to be doing is, first thing in the morning, of course, drinking water, and you should be drinking something like this, like 24 ounces of water. What that will do is a couple of things. It will rehydrate your body, but also, and especially adding things like lemon or lime or cucumbers or ginger, which is all anti-inflammatory and detoxing, and that will help eliminate a lot of the toxins in your body that first thing in the morning, help to eliminate those. So, and especially if you drink probably like 3 or 4 of these during the day, that will certainly aid during the fasting time. You can drink any kind of things during that fasting time. During those 16 hours, of course, I'll be doing, any kind of fluids, but, anything that is non-caloric. Teas, I love my teas. You can do black teas, you can do black coffees, you can do any kind of herbal tea, of course, any kind of non-caloric tea. Definitely stay away from any type of artificial sweeteners, again, just because of the effects it will have on your body. That actually does even affect your insulin, so to let you know. So foods, what kind of foods would I eat? Again, your body, what we consider to be calories and what our body considers to be calories, our body actually does not measure calories as calories. So the difference between 100 calories in a potato, 100 calories in a cookies, or 100 calories in rice versus 100 calories in an apple, or 100 calories again in broccoli, along with olive oil, our body processes it so much different. Again, it goes back to the spiking of the insulin versus actually how many calories there are. So I'm not at all focused on the number of calories I'm going to be eating. I'm not going to be looking at that. I'm not going to be focused whatsoever on the fat calories, the number of fat calories. It's all going to be about the type of foods I'm eating and also just having that longer hour of fasting. And so for the meal, some of the foods I'm going to be eating, I'm going to be very focused on what will be considered the anti-inflammatory foods. And some of these will be including such things as like spinach, as well as zucchini and cucumbers and broccoli, any kind of whole leaf lettuce or kale or chard, any kind of lettuces, green beans, and cauliflower is wonderful. There's so many different ways they do cauliflower now. Onions, I love red onions on my salad. You can do asparagus, and of course you can use any kind of spices, ginger, turmeric. They even have root turmeric now, both these wonderful anti-inflammatories, ginger. So basically what you want to do is you want to try to eat as close to nature as you possibly can. First God made man, and then what God said is he said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of this earth and every tree that has fruit, and this will be yours to eat. This will be your food. And then he said, it is good. He said, it is very good. And he did not put Cheerios on trees. We don't have, processed box food sprouting from the ground. So definitely try to stick to as close to nature as possible. It's the way that our body was meant to eat. And some of the other foods too is fruits, as I don't mind eating fruits. Again, our body doesn't look at sugars the same way that we count